Hey, how's it going, guys? My name's Mikey, and today, by the time you're watching this, the Arcraiders playtest should be live, and I'm probably streaming it right now. But I also wanted to do a video to kind of like run down the game, give you guys a heads up on what this game is, and kind of my thoughts on the game as well. This is going to be kind of like a stream of consciousness thing. I don't really have a script written out for any of this, but yeah, let's just run down the game and I'll tell you guys about it. Arcraiders is being developed by Embark Studios. Those are the guys that make the finals. And some of them, a lot of them are ex-Battlefield developers, I believe, which is definitely a big plus in my book because I'm a huge Battlefield fan. I've been a fan of the franchise for a long time. They took some of their design philosophies from the Battlefield franchise and they implemented that in the finals. I love all the destruction in the finals. It's a great competitive shooter. It plays really well. It looks very good. And Arcraiders is kind of the same way. There's actually not much destruction in the game. I did play the playtest that they held last October, I believe, and there wasn't that much destruction in it, but the rest of the game was pretty top-notch. Let me tell you about it. What kind of game is it? Well, it's an extraction game. I know we're kind of in the renaissance of extraction games right now. There's a lot of companies, a lot of game developers trying out this concept. A lot of them not succeeding. They change the formula up too much or they make it too casual and it doesn't really land with the kind of audience that likes to play these kinds of games. Obviously, I only got to play it for a very short time, so I still need to play it a little bit more to get like a more solid opinion on it. But my first impressions from the last playtest were overall pretty positive. The gameplay loop is that you basically, it's kind of like every other extraction shooter, right? You have a main base or a stash, a hideout, if you will, and you hang out in there and you build stash modules for upgrading your weapons, upgrading your kit. There's traders in there where you can buy more gear. And when you're in raid, you fight other players and you fight the enemies, the AI enemies in the map. You search around for loot and you complete quests for the traders while you're in raid, and then you try to extract successfully with all that gear and those quests complete. And that's the loop. You rinse, repeat, and trade in all your stuff, upgrade your gear, go back in, get more gear, etc., etc. So if you were hoping for like a radical change to the extraction kind of looter shooter formula here, you're not going to get that here. It's going to be kind of the same-ish as, 90% of the extraction games out on the market now. But I don't necessarily think of that as like a really bad thing. I think sticking to like the tried and true formula is a good way to go. I played a couple of maps in the playtest. The first one was Dam, I believe. That was the first map accessible to me. And then the second one was Spaceport. Both of these maps were surprisingly vertical. There was a lot of verticality to them. Spaceport had a lot of like tall research buildings in it. A lot of it was like a flat kind of testing ground or launch pad for spaceships and like sciencey stuff. But there were research buildings that you could go up at least a couple of floors, I believe, and get some verticality and search through all the labs and get like scientific items or electronics, that kind of thing. Dam had like a swampy kind of marshy area in the bottom of the map, and then you could kind of go up in these man-made structures, like make your way up the dam basically through these tunnels and interior spaces. And there was one area of the map where there was like a long catwalk going under a bridge or something, if I remember right. My memory's a little bit fuzzy on that, but you could cross a large swath of the map using that. The environments in the game look really good. Just like the finals, that game looks incredible as well, but kind of in its own way. Arcraiders is a lot more like post-apocalyptic, grungy, but it still has like a tremendous amount of polish on it, if that makes any sense. I felt very immersed in the maps when I was in there. It felt like a kind of battleground, an old place that had been taken over by, AI robots. The enemies, the PvE enemies are robots, and there's all kinds of different robots you can fight. There's some that fly in the air, there's some on the ground. Some of them are bigger and stronger, and others are smaller and weaker. There is a cool armor plating system with the robots. You have to shoot off armor plates to get to like the squishy insides of the robot to like really damage it, which is kind of cool. Some weapons will do more armor damage than others. Some will be more effective at taking off those armor plates than others. And others might be a little bit more effective for PvP combat. Just like in Tarkov, you're going to have to kind of keep your wits about you when you're playing this game. You're really going to have to keep your eyes and your ears peeled. Listening for the footsteps of other players is really important, as well as like listening to the sounds of the arcs. The arcs are the robots, the PvE enemies. You're going to have to listen for those drones that are floating by, and then there's some other ones that stomp around on the ground. You're going to have to listen and watch out for those. There are some really fast ones that are like these orbs or these balls that roll around on the ground. They can kind of get a jump on you and like roll around a corner and then come at you extremely fast. Some of these enemies are kind of annoying, actually. The ones that are like rolling balls on the ground, those I think were my least favorite out of all of them when I was playing when I was in the playtest last year. They were a little bit tanky and bullet spongy, but you can deal with them if you light them up enough. There were some lighter flying arcs that were kind of like relatively easy to take down. As long as you have armor-piercing ammo, you can take the armor plates off pretty easy. There are some heavier ones, some much larger ones that take a lot more of a beating. So maybe if you're playing solo, if you're not with a squad, maybe best to just avoid those things. You do get a map actually when you're in raid, and it does show you like threat levels in different areas of the map, which is kind of nice. So you can kind of plan your route depending on where you want to go and what you want to do. You can kind of plan your route and move through the map accordingly based on the gear you brought in and like where you want to go, what are the threats you want to face. Now, once you've gone through the raid and you've done all your fighting, you've done all your looting, and you're ready to leave, it's time to extract. And to get out of the map, you need to find these elevators. And depending on where you spawn, these elevators are going to be available for you. They're usually on the opposite side of the map from where you spawn. And when you get to one of these elevators, you need to activate it. There's a little panel that you need to type into and activate it. And once it activates, this alarm goes off. And this can be like a dinner bell for other players. And a lot of times there's AI or arc, robots floating around or just kind of patrolling the area around these elevators. So you will probably have to do a little bit of fighting in order to get out, depending on which elevator you go to. Dynamic events can happen while you're in raid too, which is kind of cool. The weather can change from rainy to clear and foggy and all that kind of stuff. Night raids are going to be a thing in this game, although I didn't play any of those in the playtest last year. I don't know if they're going to be adding those later. There's also drop pods with gear that can spawn in on the map and drop kind of randomly or dynamically in the map. And you can go for those to get some really spicy, upgraded kit. The design and the aesthetic of the game is definitely very sci-fi. If you're looking for like modern military, kind of tactical FPS extraction shooter, kind of like along the lines of Tarkov, you're going to be disappointed here. That's not really what this is. This is definitely very sci-fi. The weapons remind me a little bit of the kind of thing you would see in Star Wars. There was one gun that I remember using that was really long and it kind of looked like a barbell or just like a long pipe or something. It reminded me a little bit of the rifles that the Tusken Raiders use actually. But it was very good. It was very accurate and very powerful. I actually really liked that thing. And then there was another pistol that could shoot armor piercing rounds that I really enjoyed as well for the PvE, for shooting down robots. As far as like the structure of the extraction kind of gameplay and the gameplay loop and everything, I think it's really solid. It definitely looks very good. Embark has done a really good job with the finals, and they're doing an amazing job here with arcraiders. It plays really well. You get that extraction shooter tension. I would constantly be going into raids and finding amazing gear and then be like on my toes and really nervous about getting to extract. In last year's playtest, it did play very well. It was kind of heavy. It was pretty demanding, but for the most part, it played pretty smooth. There were some hitches I think might have been related to like netcode or networking stuff, possibly. I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully they've ironed that stuff out for this playtest this year. The trading and crafting and upgrading system in the hideout or the stash is a little bit confusing. It might take a little bit for dumber gamers like me to get used to, but hopefully those are ironed out. I don't want to sound like I'm glazing this game too much, but I usually try and see the positives of these games rather than the negatives, and I prefer to give them like a fighting chance rather than just shit all over them before they're even released. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be everything for arcraiders, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed my word salad and my like stream of consciousness type of video. By the time you guys watch this video, I'm probably going to be playing the arcraiders playtest, so if you guys want to come over and say hi, come on over and do that, and you can see some cool gameplay, we can talk about the game, and it should be a good time. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.